What's good with it? Is Coffee tapping back in, man. And once again, it seems the chapter, the book on Eminem and the Outsidaz, the Outs, is being opened back up. You heard? We're going back in the Outs chapter.
If Eminem is a god of rap, what does that make you? Basically, it's true. When I was fucking with Eminem, he was basically just doing. He was first of all, he was just a little fat white kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
I started working with him. He was rhyming, of course, but you know, when he came to Jersey and stayed at my house, we started perfecting his skill. So basically, I birthed his new skill. The best rappers, you can't just call krs-one and be like, yo, let me get on your album. You can't call Eminem and be like, let me get on your album. He gonna be like, who the fuck is you? So these rappers called me. krs-one called me. Eminem called me. Redman called me. Master Ace called me. All these rappers called me to be on this shit. So that must mean something.
And these
krs-one told me, if Eminem is a god of rap, what does that make you?
So check it out, man. Y'all heard that. That was Young Z of the legendary Outsidaz speaking about Eminem. If Eminem is the rap god, what does that make him? And you heard him. He birthed Eminem. And this is so crazy. He birthed, the Slim Shady flow, the Eminem, you know, that we all came to know, and he blew up and what he became today. The Outs, Young Z specifically, you heard him saying he was a big part of that. He taught M a lot, and it's so crazy, no cap. Azizz, I'm sure y'all remember on my channel, we had a couple of years back a lot of discussions about Azizz. Azizz made a major splash in the blogosphere and the news. And it's so crazy because I was just thinking recently, back when that happened, it was January 20th was the day that he was giving Eminem that original deadline. And then the next year he addressed it as well. Like he put up something about it, and it was like an annual thing. And I was thinking, man, this year I haven't seen anything from Azizz about January 20th. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I just missed it. And here we are right before the 20th of January. And Eminem and the Outs is back in the convo, back in the fold, back in the news cycle. But it's not Azizz speaking on it. It's Young Z. And back when that all went down and I originally started tapping into that story, and again, a lot of individuals were intrigued by that story, and we had a lot of good combos and whatnot about it as well. So make sure y'all get in the comments and we coffee talk it up on this discussion once again. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new. But back when I did that first video, Young Z initially commented and was like kind of hot. I don't want to say super hot or heated, but he wanted to make it clear that, like, why am I in this or whatever. As in the video, I think I shared an old clip from MTV Cribs where they were showing the old Ow House, and he was talking about how Young Z was talking about how Eminem used to sleep on the floor, and he went to his ice cream shop and he had a Eminem, like a flavor named after Eminem and whatnot. And, you know, he just was like, why am I in this? And he didn't want to be a part of Azizz crusade against Eminem at all. And I clarified it in another video, and he was like, thank you. You know what I mean? He was cool with that. And he wanted to make it clear he was on good terms with Eminem, because at one point in time, Young Z, I believe, did take some shots at M. And Pacewon did as well. But even, I think, when they were feeling whatever kind of way they were feeling and they put out whatever track they did, I don't think there was ever the level of, I don't want to say animosity, but they just didn't, they weren't going at M the same way Azizz was, in my opinion. But I mean, nonetheless, Young Z at one point in time definitely felt some kind of way. I'm sure all the Outsidaz did, and it's always kind of flabbergasted me and befuddled me as a fan as where, I don't want to say it went wrong, but just kind of where they got left behind. Even though we did see Young Z on the 8 Mile soundtrack, And I think some other features or something later on as well. But it just was crazy how in the Slim Shady LP, the Outsidaz was getting all them shout outs. Outsidaz, baby, and we suing the chorus because you know we dope as fuck and only get a 2 in the source and all that on multiple tracks, naming Pacewon, Young Z, etc. And then as things went on, I guess they kind of drifted apart. And I'm sure everyone has heard the story as well about on the Marshall Mathers LP where Eminem had to cut Pacewon and Young Z's verse off Amityville, not reportedly, not by his own decision. That was like a Dr. Dre decision, is my understanding. That's the way the story was always told. But it just had to be rough for the Outsidaz to kind of get left behind in a way, you know what I mean? When Eminem blew up the way that he did, you know, he came back and got D12. He came back and got the Outs in a sense, like he worked with them. I believe he was on tour with them at one point in time, but no deals or anything like that, I think, were ever really signed. And, you know, they just, no long-term situation to further their career, and that's got to be tough for them, you know. As I talked with a lot of cats during that time period from Jersey who knew the Outsidaz personally or actually were part of the Outsidaz clique or collective, as well as their close peoples and whatnot, and everyone felt like, and I'm not even saying like all these cats were talking ish or nothing, just everyone was like, yo, Eminem definitely picked up a lot from the Outsidaz. Everyone from Brick City and whatnot that I would talk to, from Jersey that I would talk to about this, like I said, that personally knew these individuals, were always saying when they were mentioning who M kind of took some of elements of their flow and put it into his own, what became the Slim Shady flow and all that. Everyone kept mentioning Slang Ton, R.I.P. Slang Ton. I went after all those discussions and really listened to a lot of Slang Ton music, and I definitely heard it. As you know, Eminem, I think, has always kind of stated that he is a student of hip-hop, a historian of hip-hop, and you can hear it in a lot of his flows. Like Tretch is someone that always gets mentioned. You heard Master Ace, Young Z mentioned, who I've heard a lot of people say that they hear in Eminem's flow, and the list goes on, you know. But there definitely was a big difference from the Infinite album until the Slim Shady EP, and then later on, you know, converted into the LP music and was on some whole other ish. Like Infinite just really wasn't it. Something else that everyone always mentioned too, that I had all these conversations with from Jersey, something else they always mentioned was that Not Afraid video. I think it was, I'm not positive, but I believe it was Not Afraid, but it was one of them videos. Eminem went to Jersey to do the video, and a lot of cats seem to feel like there was something behind that as to why Eminem did that. You know, that it had something to do with the Outsidaz and his time in New Jersey and all that. But I don't know. I never actually heard, though, Young Z specifically say that himself, you know, that he birthed Eminem's flow, or heard anyone saying that. Not saying, when I'm saying that, I'm not saying he didn't or didn't. You don't hear it in his flow. I don't think I've ever heard Young Z flat out say that. But I don't know, jump in the comments, let me know what you think about it all, if you agree with Young Z, if you hear it in M's flow. And man, what a wild time that was when Azizz was hitting in the news and all that was going down. We saw a lot of different ish play out on social media. We saw a lot of different individuals from the Outsidaz speak out, come together, collab. There was Outsidaz, Azizz and other Outsidaz beefing with Eminem fans who are online, bloggers, fans who make music, diss tracks going back and forth. It was crazy, man. And I was hoping that at the end of the day, after all this transpired, we would see Eminem collab with the Outsidaz or something like that current day. You know what I mean? That would have been dope. I thought that would be righteous, you know. I mean, I know on that one song he said something about 1,000 lighters in the sky for the outsiders, and I believe on the track, I forget what album that was off, but it felt like he was giving them props and kind of saying my bad for losing touch or something like that. You know, it was an emotional track, an emotional shout out, but I don't know, it's definitely an interesting part of Eminem's story and his journey into, you know, what he became today. But I always peep Eminem as, you know, he doesn't drop music regularly like that no more or anything. But you know, when he does do interviews or he does drop music, that's like when Eminem taps in and reacts to things and commentates on things that's in the news and going on in the blogosphere and all that. And I think he even had a little jab at Azizz on one of his tracks after all that. But my point is that Eminem is always paying attention and watching. It's clear. You can see by what he says and what comes out in the music and the interviews, like I was saying. And I don't know. It's like with him seeing all that going down, I was really hoping to see him and Young Z or him and Pacewon or him and just the Outs as a whole get back together in the studio. And I don't know. From my understanding, it didn't happen. But there you have it, y'all. That's all I got. The Eminem Outsidaz chapter of the book is open back up. Let's talk about it, and right before January 20th. Ain't that crazy? Let's talk in them comments, sub up, and I'll chop it with y'all on the next one. It's coffee, and I'm gone, y'all. Peace.